Joanna Shields has grown businesses from almost nothing to exceeding $850 million in value during her career so far. She's helped both Google and Facebook become preeminent in Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. In so doing, Joanna has carved herself a reputation as being foremost in her understanding of innovation and the fast-moving digital world. The UK government and Tech City are now both exploiting her unique expertise and drive. Let's first see a clip about Tech City. Ladies and gentlemen, Joanna Shields. Welcome.
Thank you, Ian, and good morning, everyone. I thought we'd wake you up with a bit of vibrant music. Ladies and gentlemen, it's such a great privilege to be here among this distinguished group representing the best of British industry. As you saw in the video, not too far from here in East London is the epicenter of a movement that swept our capital, and for that matter, our country as well. From clusters around our great university to bustling hubs in our leading cities, technology stands out in the UK as a bright spot in our economy. In fact, the internet economy is forecast to grow at an annual rate of 8% over the next 5 years, fueling a wave of entrepreneurship and a rich pipeline of great products and services, applications, and internet-enabled things. I started my career back in 1987 in Silicon Valley, and I lived here in London for 13 years. And I've been fortunate enough to have a front row seat in the digital revolution from the very beginning. First, in product development, creating hardware and software that made things digital. And then as an entrepreneur myself and a member of management teams from such great companies like Google and Facebook. I've seen firsthand how technology can be this catalyst for economic growth, and it's a real engine for our economy. But the rate of change happening right now and the waves of creative disruption that are underway are transforming business and society on an unprecedented scale. Incremental innovation in tough times is a very compelling concept. It offers you predictable returns, it maintains your traditional structure, and it ensures that tomorrow your products will be just that much better, faster, or cheaper than they are today. But what it doesn't offer is a guarantee that a startup won't create something completely different, or even radical, that changes the business landscape forever. That's what I mean by creative disruption. And the beauty of disruptive innovation is, of course, that no one has exclusivity over it. And in the next 15 minutes, we'll see how startups, established companies, and all of those folks alike are producing new, nonlinear ways of thinking and creating products that unlock growth potential and reimagine entire industries. The first example begins with the events of January 19, 2012. It was an ordinary day at the San Francisco headquarters of Instagram, the photo sharing application that was taking the world by storm. By this date, the app had already been downloaded 30 million times. It was the hottest application for the iPhone, and everyone was using it. Yet 3,000 miles away in Rochester, New York, another photography company was having an altogether different day. In fact, it's safe to say it was probably the worst day ever. That's the day after 125 years of operation, the Eastman Kodak Company filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. I was running international operations of Facebook at the time, and the news of Kodak's demise hit me hard. For I grew up in the industrial northeast of the United States, and Kodak was one of the primary employers in the region where I grew up. And at its peak, it employed 140,000 people, had 90% market share, and Kodak brand, remember the Kodak moment? It was synonymous with high-quality photography and how we live our lives. But by 2005, they were even generating $6 billion in revenue from the lucrative digital photography and services market. And yet, 7 years later, it was all over. So you're probably wondering, how could such a successful company, whose innovations invented an entire industry, fail so spectacularly? At Facebook, we too were very aware of Instagram's meteoric rise. Our product was built around people sharing photos, so it made perfect sense one weekend in April when Mark called the management team together to tell us he'd made the decision to buy the company for $1 billion. Not bad for a company that was founded just 18 months earlier and had only 13 employees. Many of us will recall a similar aha moment when, we realized that the future was going to be completely different from the past. For me, the Instagram acquisition was that moment. Because if logic had prevailed, this great company, Kodak, should have played a prominent role in the new way we are sharing our lives and experiences on social networks. Yet, 140,000 people, working diligently and with the best intentions, watched from the sidelines as 13 people sparked a new revolution. Now, the Kodak story is by no means an exception. Many institutions are struggling to keep up with new entrants, new models, and innovations. In the past, to achieve growth, you developed a formula. You refined it. You put systems in place to support it. But the new market realities mean that the world in which has changed such that these formula simply don't work anymore. The new wave of creative disruption that is changing almost every industry that we know is making one thing clear. What got you here to a position of market leadership is not going to be enough to secure your place in the future. So it's important that you ask yourselves, are we too focused on incremental innovation? Are we spending too much time refining, optimizing, reducing costs to increase margins? And if so, what else might we be missing? I have a 14-year-old son, and his generation is the first generation to have unlimited access to knowledge and information. During his lifetime, information has become a commodity. With a click of a button, you can source products, find distributors, and develop business relationships with people all across the globe. Everything you want to know or need to know is simply available at the end of a search query, on demand, wherever you are. And whilst information is free and accessible, it's what you do with that information that really counts. Because in today's world, there's a massive premium on processing, analyzing, and deciphering data. Today, it's how information is used that really matters. It's about recognizing patterns and seeing data in completely different ways, and that's what leads to new discoveries. Take the example of a 15-year-old from Maryland called Jack Andraka. He invented a new test for pancreatic cancer that costs just 2p, takes 5 minutes to run, and is 100% accurate. Now, a few years ago, a personal tragedy led him, a close family friend and his uncle died from the disease of pancreatic cancer. So as cancers go, this is one of the most virulent and hardest to detect. And the current test was developed 60 years ago, costs 500 pounds, and has a dismal success rate of picking up only 30% of all cancers. So Andraka did what all teenagers would do. He Googled it. And that's where the magic began. Using only information he discovered through free online scientific journals and search, he created a new way to detect pancreatic, ovarian, and lung cancer from his bedroom. And that's just part of the story. Before Andraka published his findings, he wanted a real scientist to vet his ideas. So he reached out to 200 of them, and 199 of them rejected him, until finally one curious scientist said yes from Johns Hopkins University. What this illustrates is the fresh approach and unique perspective of a young, unconventional, unencumbered mind made all the difference. Closer to home, consider the young British entrepreneur, Nick Delosio. Nick thought, when he was 15, that there had to be a better way to discover news and information on his mobile device. So he set out to make that product smarter. Nick's approach and the way some of these algorithms solve the problems of news curation were so unique that Yahoo decided it was strategic to its future direction and acquired the company in March of this year for $30 million. Or what about Ehud Shabtai? He was a software engineer and founder of Waze, whose company was recently bought by Google. If you struggle for traffic on the way to work, you'll really appreciate his story. When Ehud found himself stuck in traffic, he asked what seems an absolutely obvious question to all of us now. He said, why can't my GPS system talk to other GPS systems out there? Why can't these devices send information about the traffic jam that lies ahead? It saves me time and says me the best and the quickest route around. So he built a product that did just that, a smartphone app that connects data from all other users stuck in traffic. And today, 50 million people around the world use Waze. That's 50 million people who are no longer using GPS systems from manufacturers like TomTom and Garmin. Another fresh perspective comes from Jay Bregman, who questioned why London taxi drivers spend 40 to 60% of their time looking for passengers. And whilst each time we wanted a taxi, we really couldn't find one. There didn't seem to be one around. So since most people were starting to carry smartphones, what Jay did is he decided to connect supply with demand. And Halo, the company he founded with 2 other technologists and 3 other taxi drivers, is used by half of the cab drivers in London today. In fact, many of you probably ordered your taxi this morning using Halo, except the mayor who took his bike. Right. The company that carried over 5 million passengers has grown into annualized sales of over 60 million. It now takes an average of 2 minutes to hail a cab in London with Halo. And the lesson here for all of us is that the fresh perspective to see the world in new ways and to decipher information and data differently than the established ways is the new competitive edge. So much so that pretty much every industry around us is being reimagined. So we've already talked about photography and Instagram. And we've talked about the reimagination of navigation with Waze. And we also talked about the reimagination of hailing a cab with companies like Halo and Get Taxi. But it's happening all across many other industries as well. Consider education, where teachers are moving from being dispensers of information to facilitators of knowledge. And the massive online open course movement is democratizing learning and spreading knowledge further and faster than ever before. In fact, just this morning, across town at the British Library, Future Learn is being launched, which is a new massive online open course offering by the Open University. And we wish them well in their launch. So the other area that's being reinvented is music. Consider music. Services like Spotify, Deezer, SoundCloud, they enable you to access music and hear them on any device you carry with you. Or video. YouTube, Netflix, LoveFilm, they let you watch TV or any video you want whenever you want to. And raising capital is another area that's being completely reimagined through peer-to-peer lending structures such as Kickstarter, and also someone you'll hear from this afternoon, Funding Circle, where anyone can support the inventors and creators they truly believe in. Or how about finding a job or hiring staff, where services such as Odesk make it easier to access the talent you need and to have them work for you as long or as short as you like. Or manufacturing, where companies like Makey Labs and iMaker are producing and manufacturing a huge range of products made from 3D printing, and their products are available instantly, many times overnight. So you see, so many industries are being reimagined today. And great things happen when successful businesses, large and small, recognize the value and openness of being connected. If we look back at the past decade, the fastest growing technology companies transformed themselves into open platforms. They created value by providing tools that let people participate in a market that was otherwise closed and centralized. Let me give you an example. Google wasn't the first engine, but it really took off when it opened up its search platform to let people bid on keywords. And Facebook wasn't the first social network, but when it opened its network to be translated by users, the site was soon available in 77 languages. And then when Facebook opened up its platform to developers, allowing them to leverage its distribution to what is now well over 1 billion people, a massive new economy and ecosystem of business powered by the social graph sprung up all over the world. Another British example of a company using these approaches to unlock value and growth is GlaxoSmithKline. GSK believes that bionics and bioelectric medicine will open up a whole new front in its mission to control and reverse disease. Instead of throwing more money at the problem itself and focusing all development internally, GSK realized that the best ideas just might come from outside its organization. And it created the Action Potential Venture Capital Fund. This new $50 million fund, £50 million fund, is investing in companies that pioneer bioelectric medicines and technology. Another great British growth story, an example of a company acting this way, is ASOS, the online fashion retailer. ASOS launched its marketplace offering, allowing its customers, boutiques and designers, and even competitors to sell products through its own site. Whilst in the past it offered only established brands, now users can create and share lookbooks comprised of items available from all kinds of sites now sold through ASOS's main site. Now, traditional business thinking would question why a company would promote other people's products and allow them the ability to sell across its infrastructure. And these are all really good questions. But ASOS was in touch with its customer needs and gave them more choice and inspiration. And just after 12 months of becoming an open platform for aggregating the best fashion looks from across the web, profits are up by over 40%. And ASOS is now the largest company traded on the AIM exchange in London. Last year, Barclays Bank launched a really innovative product called Ping It. It's Europe's first person-to-person service for sending and receiving money using your mobile phone. Recognizing that customers wanted even more choice in how they manage their money and greater simplicity too, the innovation team adopted the mentality of a startup and set about building a brand new mobile money service that made payments, including between friends, as simple as texting. Indeed, our own government is increasingly adopting the approach with the establishment of the Open Data Institute in November 2011. The Open Data Institute offers public access to thousands of data sets from across the various UK departments, covering everything from traffic stats to crime figures. This initiative is all about increasing transparency and innovation. And since data has become available and open, dozens of new services, applications, and other products have been launched using that data, and the needs of consumers and business alike have been served, and the government has benefited by saving billions of pounds. And in terms of crowdsourcing input to shape policy, you heard this morning about how your voice at the IoD is being heard, but the government in the past 3 years has also opened an open door to young entrepreneurs and startups and business builders all across the country. And they've created what we consider the world's leading policies for business builders and entrepreneurs. So you see, many industries, and even our government, are being reimagined. And by now you must be thinking, this all sounds really intriguing, but what can I actually do to start changing the way we innovate in our company, ensure that we thrive in the future? Well, large organizations can start by moving away from closed models and internally focused innovation. These promote a model that ensures creativity and collaboration. To do this, you need to think of your company as an open platform for enabling your employees, your customers, your suppliers, and perhaps even your competitors the ability to create new products and services that customers want before they even know they want them. So let's start with a few practical suggestions. First, identify the most interesting startups in your space and launch a competition. Invite them to solve problems that you're grappling with. Create events for them, collaborate with them. Get to know them and their management teams, and if it makes sense, think about acquiring them. There is nothing better than an acquisition to bring fresh DNA into your company. Secondly, become a thought leader in your space by creating content and conferences that will attract others to want to work with you. Listen and engage with your partners and your customers. Start an apprentice program with your local university. Ask students studying entrepreneurship, marketing, business, computer science to do real work inside your companies, to integrate with your teams and address challenging problems and new products and opportunities. Another idea is that you should demystify coding. Attend a coding class, a one-day coding class yourself. Bring your management team. It's no longer like you think, like coding was when we were in university. It's so much simpler now, and the benefit of understanding how things are built will be invaluable to you and your teams. Also, unleash innovation by opening up the data sets in your company. You're probably storing enormous amounts of data, and many people could use that with access to build great products and services that will improve your bottom line and increase the opportunities for you. And finally, imagine you're a startup. How would you build your business today from scratch? How would you build it to meet the new market realities? How would you reinvent or reimagine a new organization or product or service to solve a new market need or exactly the problems you're currently grappling with? As the French author Antoine de Saint-Exupéry once said, I love this quote, he said, if you want to build a ship, don't ask people to collect wood and assign them tasks and work, but rather teach them to long for the endless immensity of the sea. The velocity of change in our world brought on by technology and innovative thinking is absolutely unprecedented, and you should welcome it with open arms. Change will challenge and inspire you and help you shape and mold your business in the future. Things you thought were always going to be around will disappear, but in their place, new magical things will come into view and you will have a front row seat. And I, for one, can't wait to see what you come up with. Thank you very much.
Joanna, thank you. Apart from running Tech City, the Prime Minister has made you Ambassador for Digital Industries.
Yes.
What practical steps has the government done, and what more can they do to help this sector?
Well, inside the UK, I mentioned the open dialogue or open door policy of the government, and this is truly unprecedented. So in the past 3 years, we've launched the Seed Enterprise Investment Scheme, the Patent Box, the R&D tax credits. We've launched a new high growth segment on the London Stock Exchange, working with the folks over at LSE. We've launched a program called Future 50, where we're looking for the fastest growing businesses. Many of you out there might be interested in applying. It's future50spelledout.com. And what that is a program that helps businesses who are considering an exit, whether that be an acquisition or listing, to make sure that they have everything they need to cross over that line, that finish line, and be successful. So that we launched in April, and the applications are closing in a couple weeks, so definitely if you're interested. So there's all kinds of programs. Actually, I think it is, as I said, the strongest package for business builders anywhere in the world. And I've launched a lot of companies abroad and internationally. I think the last count, I opened 39 offices in my career around the world, and I've never seen a government this open and willing to listen and then to take action. As Simon was mentioning this morning, the feedback is definitely valued. The second thing that we do is we represent the business proposition, the British proposition abroad. So as a business ambassador for digital industries, I go to America and I try to make sure that some of the best companies there will choose Britain as their headquarters, which of course means more jobs and more investment here, which is fantastic. So I go all over the world.
So what key attributes does the UK have that sets us up for success then in the digital world?
Well, I think, it is one of the largest economies, of course, and I remember, my time at Google and Facebook, it was, one of the largest markets. In fact, Google was continuing to report the UK separately for many, many years because it was so substantial. We have the Center of Creative Industries here, which are heavily involved in the digital business, and, all the headquarters for the big advertising agencies. You have the creative industries around film and television. What I often say about London and the UK is, like, right here in London, you have the combination of Washington, with government. You have, the city, that's New York. Then you have Los Angeles, the film industry, and then you have San Francisco with the tech industry. But yet it's all in one place, in the square miles of London, which is extraordinary, which gives us an incredible, competitive advantage.
Okay. Do the young people in the UK have the skills to actually help us succeed, or should we do some more? What could you offer us on that?
I think skills is a challenge that all governments across the world are grappling with at the moment, because as I mentioned, the speed of change, the exponential change that the world is experiencing is making it hard for institutions, like educational institutions, to keep up. But what I find really encouraging is this movement, the massive online open course movement. In fact, I read just 2 days ago that the University of Pennsylvania, I'm from Pennsylvania originally, although I'm a British citizen, the University of Pennsylvania put their first-year MBA courses online now. If you think about the value that that's offering to anyone, anywhere in the world, to be able to study at that fine institution for free. I hope all the great British universities will put their coursework into the Future Learn platform, which I said is being launched today.
Okay, one final question. We've got a lot of young entrepreneurs here today.
Okay.
What one piece of advice would you give them if they wanted to start off in an innovative industry?
Well, first of all, take pride in failure. And honestly, I say this I used to bring teams together and people would get quite down when something didn't go to plan. But I always find that you learn so much more from those difficult moments. And what emerges from that is it challenges your thinking and it inspires you to come up with new approaches and ideas. And the next round is always like 1,000 times better. So persevere, believe in yourself. One thing I think here in the UK that's important is there's this new recognition of entrepreneurship as a credible career path. And that's incredibly exciting. In fact, we've connected Tech City now to 13 clusters across the country. And this movement that's happening here, and I don't know if you've spent any time in East London, but you could feel it, and all across the capital. But it's happening in 13 other large established clusters, some of them around universities, some of them around our big metropolitan areas in the UK. But, and there are dozens of smaller areas where people are coming together to build new things. And I think it's incredibly exciting. I mean, this country has a heritage of entrepreneurship and innovation, and I think we're just about to recapture it.
Joanna Shields, thank you very much indeed.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay.